All right. We will begin here in just a minute. All right. See, YouTube did I start YouTube? No? Okay, yeah, I did start YouTube. I need to go to YouTube. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. It can happen, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's hard to believe, but it can happen. All right. All right, we will begin here in just a minute. Let's give it a second here. I'm going to check the Sermon Audio site really quick. If I can get Sermon Audio to open. There we are. We're currently broadcasting. We're one of just, I think there's just two of us broadcasting. No, there's a couple of us. All right. There's some. It looks interesting. Okay, I don't have time to look at that right now, but we will focus on that later. All right, let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, we go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, November the 4th, 2025. It is currently 11:04 a.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the Theology Central studio located right here in Abilene, Texas. Well, I told you I would be paying attention, right? We have some breaking news, and I've been following the news story. I haven't had a chance to do any research yet of any significance. I still will get to that. But I knew that it would not take long before I would start getting notifications from the different podcasts I subscribe to that other people would start talking about it. And I think this one makes sense that they're talking about it since, well, it's the Vatican and world news. Okay, so this is about news coming from the Vatican. So it makes sense this podcast would be the first one I saw in my notifications. But let me remind you of what's going on, just in case you haven't been listening or tuning in to the Theology Central podcast. You should, but if you haven't been listening to me, let me explain what's going on. First, a news story was published, I don't know, it's been 4+ hours now. And the headline of that news story reads, Jesus, not Virgin Mary, saved the world, Vatican says. Once again, the headline reads, Jesus, not Virgin Mary, saved the world, Vatican says. Now, if you read the story, it reads like this. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just to remind you, the first two paragraphs. Jesus may have heard words of wisdom from his mother, Mary, but she did not help him save the world from damnation, the Vatican said on Tuesday. In a new decree approved by Pope Leo, the Vatican's top doctrinal office instructed the world's 1.4 billion Catholics not to refer to Mary as the co-redeemer of the world. And that is from msn.com. All right, so that was the basic story. We talked about it. I gave you the information. I told you to be on the lookout, pay attention, see what everyone else is going to say. And then just about, 15 minutes ago, maybe 20 minutes ago, I don't know exactly how long ago, I get a notification from Vatican and World News. Vatican and World News. It's a podcast. You can subscribe to it right now. It's not on the Sermon Audio website, obviously, but you can find it anywhere you get your podcast. Vatican and World News. I subscribe to it. I get a notification that they just dropped their episode for today. November the 4th, 2025. And I immediately see the description and I'm like, oh, they're talking about this breaking news. So I went, looked it up, downloaded it, uploaded it, and here is how they started their broadcast today. Again, Vatican and World News. This is how they started their podcast. It sounded like this.
Laudetur Jesus Christus, Vatican and World News.
In the headlines this Tuesday, November 4th, the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith releases a document clarifying titles applied to the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Ahead of Brazil hosting its first COP, a member of the science panel for the Amazon takes stock of the rainforest's crucial role in safeguarding global biodiversity and the planet's climate.
And the Pope releases his monthly prayer intention for November.
In the Vatican, I'm Kelsey Gussie.
And I'm Isabella de Carvalho.
On Tuesday, the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith published Mater Populi Fidelis, a doctrinal note on some Marian titles regarding Mary's cooperation in the work of salvation. Signed by the prefect, Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez, and the secretary for the Dicastery's doctrinal section, Monsignor Armando Mateo, the note was approved by the Pope on October 7th. As Christopher Wells explains, the new note clarifies the appropriate use of various titles for the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Mater Populi Fidelis, or Mother of the Faithful People, is the fruit of a long and complex collegial effort. It is a doctrinal document on Marian devotion centered on the figure of Mary as she is associated with the work of Christ as Mother of believers. The note provides a significant biblical foundation for devotion to Mary, as well as marshaling various contributions from the fathers and doctors of the Church, elements of Eastern tradition, and the thought of recent popes. It is within this positive framework that the doctrinal text analyzes a number of Marian titles, encouraging the adoption of some and warning against the use of others. Titles such as Mother of Believers, Spiritual Mother, and Mother of the Faithful are noticed by the note with approval. Conversely, Mater Populi Fidelis says the title Co-Redemptrix can be confusing and says its use is inappropriate. The title of Mediatrix is considered unacceptable when it takes on a meaning that excludes Jesus Christ or detracts from him. However, it can be used appropriately so long as it expresses a subordinate and participatory mediation that glorifies the power of Christ. The titles Mother of Grace and Mediatrix of all graces are considered acceptable when used in a very precise sense, but the document also cautions against overly broad explanations of the meanings of those terms. Essentially, the note reaffirms Catholic doctrine, which has always emphasized that everything in Mary is directed towards the centrality of Christ and his work of salvation. For this reason, even if some Marian titles admit of an orthodox interpretation through correct exegesis, Mater Populi Fidelis says it is preferable to avoid them. I'm Christopher Wells.
Well, there you have it. That's how they are approaching it. Did you notice a difference? The MSN article referred to it as a decree. They refer to it as a note. Now, it may not mean anything to you, but a decree seems to me to be very, like within the Catholic magisterial structure, seems to have more force, more a decree. Like you cannot use co-redeemer, co-redemptrix as a title for Mary. You cannot. This seems to be like it's a note, like, hey, it's not appropriate to do this. Don't do it. But it doesn't seem to have the same force. So that's what I still have to try to unpack is the MSN article used the term decree, which seems to me carries a much greater authoritative weight behind it. But I knew that wasn't, the MSN article not coming from a Catholic source may not be as aware of the significance of that language, right? The Vatican and World News coming from the Vatican, it doesn't use that term at all. I never used the term decree once. never said that he decreed or it was decreed or it signing in a decree or release a decree. It's a document and a note, I think is the most, and it did not even give any real weight to how much authority the document has. Now, but at the same time, though, the Vatican is saying it's not appropriate for the 1.4 billion Catholics, however many Catholics there are on the planet, a lot, to use the term co-redemptrix, co-redeemer, co-mediator when speaking of Mary. Now, that's been a criticism offered up forever. You'll hear pastors say, they teach Mary is co-redeemer. You hear that sometimes if you look any of the kind of conspiratorial books that will have that. And I've always said, wait a minute, is that, I've many cases when people say something like that to me, wait, is that an official doctrine? Where are you getting this from? Well, now they can't say that because the Catholic Church, at least in some document, not knowing what level of authority the document has, is at least saying it's not appropriate for Catholics to refer to Mary as co-redemptrix, co-redeemer, co-mediator in that particular sense. Now, some of the other titles they seem to approve would still be problematic to most, and I understand that. But I just think we should always be fair in our criticism, and we'll see what this ultimately, if it leads to more discussion within Catholicism about the role of Mary, what will it do? I don't know. How significant it is, I cannot process that right now. But I knew this much. I knew that once the original article was released, it would be talked about elsewhere. And that's the first podcast that I have seen today that has discussed it. And it makes sense. And that's called Vatican and World News. You may want to look them up if you want to keep up with what's going on in the Vatican and in Catholicism. And it only takes about, 10 to 12 minutes a day. It's only released once a day. It's an easy way to keep up with what's going on. So that's how they reported it. No real discussion. I'm assuming there will be more discussion today. Issues ETC, the Lutheran program, where they do talk about a lot of current events, things going on in the theological world. I have a feeling they may discuss that this afternoon. Whenever Issues ETC airs, I don't know. But if you subscribe to the Issues ETC podcast, later this evening, all the segments will be released as individual podcasts. They do like hour 1, hour 2. And I'm assuming they will be discussing it there as well. I have not seen, let me look here. I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't want to give you wrong information. If I look on Sermon Audio right now, hang on, I'm going to look at Sermon Audio. I'm going to go to newest sermons. I don't believe anybody else has started talking about this yet. I'm assuming it will happen over the next week or so. Hang on, let me see here. No. I don't see anything. Probably the only person who's mentioned it so far is me. Yeah. I'm not seeing anything about it. So it hasn't made its way to Sermon Audio yet. Hang on, let me hear. I'm not seeing my episode. Where's my episode? Hey, where's my episode? Where's my episode? All right, hang on. I'm looking. Where am I not seeing it? Hang on, I'm going to look up Theology Central really quick. Did I post my episode? That'd be funny if I haven't even posted the. Here we go, Theology Central. No, I released it. It's right there. Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing up, but I have released it. So, yeah, so my first episode is there. Here's my second episode. Both of them will be on Sermon Audio. I don't think anybody on Sermon Audio has yet to address this subject. I'm assuming more will. So just be on the lookout to see how everyone's approaching the subject. But the first podcast I see to address it is the Vatican and World News, and which makes sense. So in summary, the Catholic Church has released a document. We're not going to call it a decree or a note. That seems to be the language being used, which states that it is inappropriate for Catholics to refer to Mary as co-redemptrix, co-redeemer, co-mediator. Those terms seem to be now declared as inappropriate. They've never been official. I think it would be fair to say they've never been official. Wait a minute. Are they going to have to change the catechism? Hang on. Let me look here. I have the Catholic Catechism right here. I know we're doing this in real time, but that's okay. Hang on, let me look here. I think it's paragraph 969. I'm going from memory here. I think it's 969. Okay, yes, this is the section on Mary. That's 972. See, 966. They call her mediatrix in the catechism. They refer to her as mediatrix in paragraph 969. Hang on. Let me look here, see if there's anything else here that I'm missing. She's the mother of grace. Hang on, I'm looking. Yeah, let me see if I can find. I don't think, I see titles of Mary. Yeah, okay, I don't think it's Mary. Hang on. Yeah, 969. I don't see her being listed as co-redeemer here. Advocate, help, mediatrix. I still pay in paragraph 969. All right, so I'm not seeing anything here that would have to be officially changed. I didn't think so. So So basically, they're just saying, I think Catholics had started using that terminology, and it had been debated. Again, if we want to look at popes, John Paul II, I think, thought the term was okay, but Pope Benedict did not. Pope Francis thought it was foolish, and Pope Leo does not. So the last, 3 popes have been against it. And so I think maybe is this the first official church statement or publication of some sort saying don't use it? It may be. So, all right, there you have it. I wanted to update really quick because, this is still developing, and we're going to hear everyone offer their opinion. Again, what I'm going to do, I should have done this. I'll try. I need to find the document. Once I find the document, then I'll do an episode telling everyone, here's the document, here's the paragraph in question, and try to put a link in the show notes. And if it's a PDF file, I'll try to attach it. I will try to do that. But in the meantime, there you go. That's the latest, and I'll try to keep you updated as I see people discussing it. All right, everyone have a great day. God bless.